Hey everybody, it's Daniel with Hyperacusis Hope. It's a little chilly, but I think I'm gonna try to power through here and stay on this trail. I've just come here to do some editing because I have a good signal and it's quiet. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit today about keeping it moving, about momentum. I definitely touched on it on my in my last video, where I shared kind of in depth kind of my whole Hyperacusis journey from the beginning to where I am now, and kind of how I have sort of worked with my body and nervous system to allow healing and accelerate it a little bit. Hyperacusis does not exist in a vacuum. It's connected to our habits, it's connected to our sleep. And one of the things that I think is not talked about enough is how important it is to have some sort of routine, or if you're like me, ADHD, routine, allergic to routines, even though it would be good for me, then at least some sort of motion, some sort of, look at that. That gave me a little burst of dopamine. I needed that. Nice little smell too. When you're not having other sensory information coming into your brain, and this condition can be so physically isolating and socially isolating, and I'm not saying that there aren't times that we need to take breaks and just rest. That's absolutely part of this process. But I will tell you that my setbacks, when I am feeling joy, if a helicopter flew over right now, that would cause mild to moderate setback for me, and that pain might last for a while. But if I'm in motion, it's weird. You'd think, okay, the helicopter has caused a setback, Yeah, sometimes, it's like, okay, I'm not going to drive. I need a rest. I'm just going to use a helicopter example. Continue to look at the green around you, See if you can't find a little pretty plant, Look at the bugs. And it's like the more you allow your brain to still take in what's happening, the limbic system in the brain is what essentially, scans for danger. And it's just the self-reinforcing loop with hyperacusis. And I maintain, and always will maintain, that you should absolutely, not push through pain, not push through extreme discomfort. So that will actually worsen that limbic loop. And there's physical inflammation, there's physical changes that happen, there's electrical changes that happen in a nerve that is, or, circuit, whether it's in your brain, whether it's in a nerve, there are physical changes that are happening in these neurons. But let's not forget that neuroplasticity goes both ways. It's so important to keep it moving. The more input you have, and also just physical movement. It's like all these things I have found to maybe lessen how badly a setback hits me, lessen, a little bit how long it takes to recover, but then there's something about the memory of recovering from a particular thing. So having extrasensory information coming in absolutely makes a difference. And like I said, being more regulated by things that are known to be calming, like nature, gentle rhythmic movement. And it can be a very fine line, because like maybe I'm walking on, grass or something and it's irritating my ears. And it's like, if I go too fast, or if I don't take breaks, like, it can overwhelm me. But it gets to a point where it kind of like falls into the background a little. It's really interesting. And maybe this is a little later on in recovery, where things like this become easier, and then your brain just has that memory of, like, I walked on grass before. And that doesn't mean that, like, next time you try to do it, and if you get pain, that you keep pushing. But I'm just saying, I've noticed a pattern where the things that I've done before are easier to do again. I'm remembering a time earlier in my recovery, and I didn't have enough momentum at this time. It was winter, I didn't have a vehicle, and yeah, when I was just stuck in that house, I was just like depressed, and to be honest, I couldn't force myself. And that's one of the things that I think really worsened my hyperacusis, physically, like how bad the inflammation would get, how long the setbacks would last, is kind of being stuck. And so I don't have a solution for people who are in a place where they don't have any momentum, but I'm going to be thinking about how can we get momentum. One memory that I have is early on in my condition, I just really wanted to cook something, and I have various issues that make that difficult, but I had a good day and I was like, okay. But even just like with double protection, the trying to get a piece of tin foil, I was making like a cheese stuffed portobello mushrooms, and lo and behold, I mean, it was a process. And then, it's like I wanted to take a bite, but I couldn't have it with my earplugs in because of the occlusion effect that I get, which causes a lot of pain. And so I tried to like take my headphones off, but I'm like, okay, I can't because my hands are greasy. And so I just tried to grab it with like my pinky and thumb, and then my headphone just like smashed into my head, and it hurt, caused me a setback. And I continued cooking. I continued pushing on, and it disappeared so much faster than it usually would. And I just didn't have it in me to regularly cook after that. For me, I find that going on a drive with double protection and then going walking somewhere, especially exploring new places, somewhere in nature, somewhere where I can feel safe. I know that the worst I'm gonna run into is another person going for a hike, So that's all I have for now, is just keep that momentum and try to bring momentum into your life, whatever that looks like. It's all about regulating the nervous system and allowing the body to heal. Can't rush it, but it's best to not avoid things forever if you're able to push through them. As long as you know that the setback that you might get, don't assume you will, but the setback that you might get is something that you can recover from. So it's not like pushing through indiscriminately, but it's like giving yourself a chance. Giving your nervous system a chance to experience the situation differently. Peace out. Hyperacusis hope. Bye.